Tiki and Tierney show. I don't like being duped, Teak, and I feel as if we've been duped here. Who are these imposters wearing the Knicks uniforms last couple of games?
Oh, man.
What happened to the Knicks?
Man, 47 wins. The season felt so good. It felt like they could go as far as we wanted them to go, believe that they could go. On paper, they're better than the Miami Heat, especially with the Heat, with all of these injuries that piled up before the start of the season, the postseason. Jimmy Butler gets banged up. Of course the Knicks have a shot. But as you watch this game unfold, Game 4, which was an important one, going down 3-1 would be devastating for the Knicks' chances, and it just happened over and over and over again. Bad things, they almost couldn't get out of their own way, even despite actually shooting pretty well. Julius Randle played pretty well. Jalen Brunson, I thought, played fantastic. R.J. Barrett, he was good. At the same time, Quentin Grimes, who we said he's got to get back in the starting lineup. He gets back into the starting lineup, does a pretty good job defending Jimmy Butler, made a couple of three-pointers. But when it came down to crunch time, when it came down to the most important part of this game in the fourth quarter, what we've said many times came to fruition, and it was ugly. Eric Spoelstra, the Miami Heat head coach, significantly outcoached Tom Thibodeau. And it makes me believe now. I kind of was hoping it wasn't true, but it makes me believe now that Tom Thibodeau will never win an NBA title because he's too stuck in his old stead ways. You come into this series against the Heat, they were bad shooting, 27th or 20, back end in three-point shooting, back end in scoring. They were not a good team. And so Tom Thibodeau's response to that is, all right, we got a game plan. This is what we're going to do. We're going to sag off of these guys and let them shoot, except for the last two series, this one and the Bucks. All they've been doing is making three-pointers. Eventually, you got to stop looking at what we think we know and start looking at what we are experiencing in real time. This team won't get far because they've hit their ceiling. And a lot of it is because of their coach not adjusting. Maybe play small, right? Maybe try something different. Maybe not double, so you're chasing these runouts and then exposing yourself to offensive rebounds. 8-1 in the fourth quarter. Offensive rebounds, not even total rebounds. They had 8 the whole game, the Knicks did. I mean, to me, this was a coaching failure. And Eric Spoelstra on the other side had to be sitting over there just –
he's
laughing internally.
Yep. It's easy for him.
I got these guys. Yep. They might have us skill-wise on the court, but I got these guys, and it showed, and it was ugly despite being a close game.
Okay, listen. So if the Knicks come out and lose tomorrow, you firing Tom Thibodeau? If what you just said is not wrong.
I mean,
so if you know this, what are we doing?
I would. And it's not because I hate Tom Thibodeau. It's not. I think he might be the best culture man in the last 15 years in the NBA because he's won 2.
That's a good way to frame it.
Not 1.
Yeah.
2 Coach of the Years in his first years or second years, I think, whatever it was. He goes someplace, fixes the culture, Coach of the Year. And then ultimately they hit a ceiling. Came to the Knicks. Man, it was ugly, dude. We know this 2 years ago. We were on the national show, but we still followed this. It was ugly.
Yeah.
Right? Next year, wins Coach of the Year. Fixed it. Made the culture right. But as we're seeing in the second round against the 8 seed, who almost wasn't even in the postseason, getting out-coached, he's hitting a ceiling again. There is precedent to this, BT. We've seen it in football. We've seen it in basketball. Obviously, Dwayne Casey, he got fired after a good season. You go back to the the Pistons did this, right?
Rick Carlisle won 50 games back-to-back years. That was more of a personality thing with Rick around the office.
But it didn't matter.
They brought in Larry Brown. They won a championship.
That's right. Almost back-to-back, right, with Larry Brown. So
yeah, and then they lost a 7th game. Sure.
But there is precedent to this, and it's not a knock, man.
Yeah.
It just is. We had this conversation last week about Gerard Gallant.
I just hate having this conversation now. And I'm not even saying that Tiki's wrong. I'm like, the problem with Thibs is that his game plan book has one chapter.
Yes.
there's not enough depth to it.
That's right.
But I want to push back in this regard, all right? So, yeah, I mean, we could get the firing squad out and we could take our shots at Tom Thibodeau here. But how about these players? I mean, the body language was just it's everything's off. And I got Julius Randle postgame saying maybe they wanted more.
Ooh.
How the hell do you say that? I mean, and then you got R.J. Barrett, who's been in the league 5 years, less just about than him. And he's like, no, we just got to get focused, come out and win next game at the Garden, Game 5 tomorrow night. Which, by the way, I think they will. I actually think that if they don't, here's where you and I are definitely coming to the same side of the street. If they lose tomorrow and they lose the same way, body language is not good, getting punked on the boards, a step slow, just visually it looks off, then I am completely amenable to change. All right? If they fight, if they win, and then they lose down to Miami, I'm not saying I'm happy, but to me that would reinforce that they're still kind of the team that I thought that they were. That's what bothers me so much now. I really don't know who these guys are.
Yeah.
And Knicks fans, we are confused. How can you play so hard and with such purpose all season and now seemingly just float during the most important part of the year?
Yeah.
I don't get. I'm truly stunned at that.
And so, hear me correctly. I'm not saying I hate Tom Thibodeau.
Neither am I. I really like him.
I love him as a coach.
Yeah.
In fact, it reminds me of a football mentality. Hey, the little things matter. You got to do X, Y, and Z. If you don't, then we're changing our lineup. We saw this, right? They went from a 12-man rotation down to 7 or 8 when it mattered. He found what worked. He got these guys playing at a ridiculously high level down the stretch of the regular season. But when you get to this level, when you're starting to coach against NBA champions and Eric Spoelstra and others, whoever it is they face in the if they would get through, whoever they would face in the Eastern Conference Finals, you have to be a tick above X's and O's, and he's just not. And we've heard this for years, and we haven't really gotten a chance to explore it because the teams that he's coached haven't been good enough to get to this point. But we are at this point, and it is painfully, and I hate to say it, obvious that he's getting out coached. And it's really little things. And I mentioned the double teams. Quentin Grimes is doing a fine job solo on Jimmy Butler. You don't need to double Jimmy Butler because when you do, whoever comes to double now has to go chase a closeout.
Strus,
right? And if
Robinson.
that shot misses, now you got one guy, covering, you got another guy chasing. There's no chance you're getting a rebound. There's no chance. And so you get dominated on the boards in the fourth quarter when it matters most. And I know we can say that's on you just got to hustle. You got to go make that play. You can't get boxed out because I got that from my friends. Dude, can the Knicks box out? It's not about it's being positioned wrong, right? So to me, that's coaching. It's not effort from the players. It's sometimes a coach has to put you in the right position to make the play that you're supposed to make, and that's just not happening.
877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney here on The Fan. I mean, yeah, you and I have a little division here, a little split. You're more throwing this at Tibbs' doorstep. Not that you're absolving the players. I got you. I'm looking more at the players. I really am. I mean, Obi Toppin.
Did he play?
He played 5 minutes.
Did he play?
5 minutes.
Did he play? That's on the coach.
Well,
to me.
yeah, but I get.
But it's also on him. I know what you're saying.
But I say that because it's also about the structure of the roster. Now, I'm not saying the Miami Heat have some great roster. They don't. They're missing 2 of their key components. Obviously, Tyler Hero, Oladipo, and the Knicks are. They probably overachieved at points this season. They're one of their main stars is a little temperamental. He's a little dour. That's Julius Randle. He doesn't seem to rally his teammates or incentivize or galvanize. Brunson, I love him. Got nothing to say about Brunson in terms of anything that's negative. But I don't know. I think I'm mad at myself for believing the way that I did with this team. I sat there and I I conjured up all this energy, and it wasn't just like make-believe energy. I legitimately watched the Knicks, and the two things we talked about all year, Knicks have as much heart as anybody in the NBA, and the Knicks have as much depth as anybody in the NBA. And right now, between the body language, between the urgency, between the passion, which is at this point seemingly optional, I can't hang my hat on the heart aspect, and the depth aspect with IQ out. Toppin plays 5 minutes. You got nothing from Hart and Hartenstein, and I love both of those guys, but they did nothing last night. And by the way, now I think we start to see the real Mitchell Robinson. Yeah, when Mitchell Robinson plays against a couple of kids who are 20 years old, even though he's young, but who weigh 190 pounds and he can push around, Mitchell Robinson looks like the real deal. When Mitchell Robinson plays against a grown man like Bam Adebayo, he gets schooled. He gets absolutely schooled. So, yeah, this is very frustrating. I'm not tapping out. I think they win tomorrow night. And if they don't, then everything that I thought about this Knicks team was wrong, and then you got to blow it up. The coach could go. 2 of the players could go. I'm not giving up yet. I don't know that they win the series. That I will admit. I very well will be wrong on that. I expect this team to win tomorrow. I do. 877-337-6666. All right. Let's get Robbie up in Queens. First up, what's going on, Rob? How are you?
What's up, Robbie?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're good, man. Yourself?
Good. I mean, I don't know, Tiki. I mean, I love you, man, but what were you watching last night? This was all on the players. This was zero effort. This was zero heart.
Okay, so how do you get motivated? So your coach isn't motivating? How do you come out in a must-win game and have zero effort?
This is game 4 of the playoffs. If these guys are not motivated by that, I don't know what's going to motivate them. This is the playoffs.
But why do you? Hold on. Let me. So why did you think they weren't motivated? Did they play terribly?
I don't know. I don't know the answer. I wish I would know.
Well, let me give you the answer, Rob. They played soft when urgency was most required. Mm-hmm. That's what's so baffling. And to me, that's on the players. You see a loose ball, how the hell do you not chase it down with everything in your body?
Okay, here's the prime example. There were 2 things that happened in this with Julius Randle, and it's on the player. Yes, I will give this to it. There was a sequence where there was a turnover, and Julius Randle didn't even bother to get back and defend. He just stood.
I remember.
He stood at around half court, and basically said, "Give me the ball." He gets the ball. He dribbles into the paint and backs away to a step back 3-pointer with 21 seconds on the shot clock.
Yes.
21 seconds.
Yes.
It had zero chance to. It was the worst play of the game. Of both teams, it was the worst play of the game because it was just schoolyard. I'm effing around, whatever. I'm pissed off. I just want to take a shot. And I want to bury this over Bam Adebayo, who, by the way, is the best on-ball defender in the NBA, especially in the postseason because they've won how many series over the last 3 years, and he's just going to take this shot. It clanks, goes back the other way. They score another bucket. Tom Thibodeau should have called timeout right then and said, Julius, sit your ass down. You cannot do that in a must-win game 4. You can't. He stayed in the game, and he was petulant and pissed off and frustrated or whatever the hell it was Julius Randle was yesterday. He stayed in the game. Obi played 5 minutes, dude.
5 minutes the whole game,
right?
Toppin.
I know one thing that Obi Toppin is not going to do. He's not going to turn into a petulant crybaby on the court and start doing stupid, low IQ basketball. Mm-hmm. To me, yes, it's Julius Randle. But Tom Thibodeau, you pull your best player when he's playing like that.
See, the issue with that is I don't do it there, but I also don't allow it to get to that spot because I do it earlier in the season. I do it earlier
you did mention this earlier.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
We do it earlier in the relationship so that when the most significant part of the season comes, it's already coached out of you.
Yeah.
You bench him there, you're just inviting havoc.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? I'm not fundamentally opposed to what you're saying.
Didn't they need some havoc?
Well, yeah. I mean, and by the way, Julius Randle took some shots that were other low IQ shots that he happened to make.
Yeah, I know.
Where he got bailed out a little bit.
Yeah.
No, I just, the body language was atrocious. And
by the way, you don't have to bench him for the rest of the game.
You know, I know
sit him down for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I hear you. Listen, tomorrow night is going to be a very different feel because I think that, and I still believe this. Listen, there's the micro, there's the macro, and there's the minutia within the series, and then there's the how do we process the Knicks moving forward. in terms of the future. We'll do the latter tomorrow or Thursday if they lose tomorrow or whenever they lose, because I still think the future is very bright for the Knicks. 6 first-round picks, blah, blah. I'm not doing that now. But I just don't understand how somebody's entire disposition, demeanor, commitment to craft, level of engagement can so quickly flip at the worst time. That is among the most confounding things I've ever seen. Listen, if there were a couple of hard fouls and the Knicks were diving on the floor and they just shot 3 for 30, all right. But they didn't even fight last night.
Yeah, this is 2 games in a row, BT.
I know.
2 games in a row with the non-hustle. In one of those games, they got their asses straight kicked. This one, it was a closer game, but when it mattered, maybe Julius Randle was right. The Heat wanted it more. But the
How
fact
do you
that
say that into a hot mic? How embarrassing is that?
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
What would you, if you're his teammate, what do you think when you hear that?
I would have said maybe you didn't want it as much as they did, but I did.
You say that privately.
100%. You don't say it publicly.
Yeah.
Unless it's a pattern. He's done it 5 or 6 times.
Which he really hasn't, so it doesn't need to be addressed publicly.
No, look, he's frustrated. I get it.
I understand that, but you're not 22 years old.
He's pissed off in that moment.
You got to get your brain right before you hit that microphone. Come on.
Yeah.
Listen, nobody's looking at him like Mark Messier in terms of like, well, I'm just throwing out one of the best captain of all time. Randall's a good player who's got
and by the way,
he
played well.
He played well
for most of this game,
but he didn't lead.
Yes,
and at the end of the day, isn't that the essence of what confounds us about Randall?
It is.
Yeah, it is. It is.
We thought we knew. Now we don't.
We are inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Well, we got 2 choices, and that's you. You tap out. You say, we're going to lose. And by the way, that's acceptable because to what they've shown the last 2 games, it's very hard to mount any real defense for this team. They probably don't earn it right now. But I'm electing to look at the bigger picture rather than the smaller sample. And I might get burned by that. I think that this thing's going back to Miami. And if not, then there's no doubt. Then it absolutely, unequivocally needs to get blown up.